and welcome to Character Class. Today, today I'd like to take a closer look at Prime. That's right, we're back doing this again. After last week was just my live stream video. I hope some of you all enjoyed it with Wraith the Oblivion. But we're back doing some mage stuff. I figured I'm going to power through the next 3 episodes of this. And talk about Prime, and then Spirit. I know somebody out there is waiting for Spirit. It's coming next week, and also, also, we're going to talk about time eventually, and time is one of those tricksy spheres. But today we're talking about Prime, and as usual, we're going to be taking a look at each level of sphere, the effects that are presented in the book, and talking about it some in a little bit greater detail than I may have on previous episodes. So, first off, we have Prime itself. Prime, as it lists in the book here, above and beyond the pattern spheres, sits the sphere of Prime, the study of raw creation, and the energy that fuels the Tellurian. The Tellurian, that is a word that I believe is used to mean reality itself. Let's just double check on that real quick because they have a wonderful uh, lexicon at the beginning in the first handful of pages. There's usually some sort of a lexicon. There we are. Tellurian, the whole of reality. So, yes, there you go. It fuels the Tellurian. Prime is the study of quintessence, literally the fifth essence. To every tradition, this is a sacred or valued power, for with Prime the mage can tap into and manipulate the keystones of cosmic forms. Now, quintessence is something that is the fuel for magic. It is it's a rating. You can get a pool of it on your sheet. It's your avatar background is what dictates how much quintessence you can spend per turn. The amount you can use quintessence to not only fuel magic, but it can be used to lower the difficulty of it. And there's other things that quintessence can do. I can't quite remember off the top of my head, but it is used and useful. And Prime is the sphere that revolves around quintessence and the raw stuff of creation itself. The first level in Prime is etheric senses, because sensory magic, as I've mentioned before, and effuse personal quintessence. Now, the initiate of Prime learns to sense and see quintessential energy, be it stored in tasks, welling up from a node, traveling across a powerful line, swirling through a natural pattern, or shining during a juncture of power. Prime senses allow him to detect the use of magic, determine when a coincidence was the result of a magical effect, and to see the flow of magical energy as it is shaped and cast forth. So, Prime senses is very good at allowing you to see a weaving of magic as it's being woven. Uh, it can be used to uh, actually detect nodes, if you're close enough, to detect quintessence stored as a physical object, which is what TAS is, whether quintessence is in a thing or not. This is what Prime all allows you to do at level 1, but it also says effuse personal quintessence, and I believe, if I am not mistaken, now, one of the things interesting here, they mentioned that each tradition has its own view of Prime. Each mage has a different sort of Prime sense. This is something you can play with when it comes to your mage characters. Some mages recognize Prime as a brilliant white or blackness, a color that surpasses natural vibrancy. Others hear it as a sort of music or melody. A few ascribe to Prime a different sense entirely, a sort of comprehension that cannot be translated into the natural senses. So how you want to do it, how you want to have this happen, talk about with your storyteller as you're making your character. You could have Prime come across to your mage by, as it shows here, sound, sight, possibly smell. Uh, it could be a particularly vibrant, potent smell. Uh, it could be something foul or odorous. Maybe if it's a tainted prime, you never know. But there are ways you can do it. Yes, I was right. I just wanted to check. Effuse personal quintessence. Now, your avatar rating doesn't just let you know how much quintessence you can spend in a given turn. That rating is there. But how many dots you have in avatar is how much prime your body can hold. How much prime, how much quintessence you can store within yourself. If you have level 1 prime, however, you can basically fit more quintessence in your body and hold it there than your avatar rating. If you don't have prime 1, you can't do that. You can only go up to your avatar rating and then no more. So level 1 prime is, I believe, the only other one. I'm not sure about spirit. I'm not going to look at it right now. But I know mind 1 and prime 1. Those are two that are definitely can do something other than just sense magic. Now, consecration is one of the prime effects for level 1. It may allow the ether to suffuse his aura so that his unique pattern of psychic resonance bleeds over onto an object and forges an etheric bond between the two. So basically, level 1 prime effect allows you to literally attune any object to you personally. You leave a psychic imprint on it, an ethereal snapshot of yourself, I guess, onto an object, so that there's a connection between you and the object. Now, if somebody were to steal that object, they would then have a direct connection to you as a mage. So anything that a mage consecrates and makes bound to them, they tend to keep a very close eye on. They don't leave it laying around. Something to keep in mind if any of you are planning to do this. It tends to make things easier because if these items that you've consecrated are your foci, then you're using foci that has a natural resonance to you and to your magic. So it makes things a little easier. It can lower the difficulty some, which is kind of nice. There is Heart's Blood. An initiated prime can easily sense the flow of quintessence through his own body, his life energy. The energy flows from the Tellurian. In desperate times, mages skilled in prime can push themselves beyond their limits and give till it hurts, taking additional health levels as points of quintessence above and beyond what is stored in their avatars. So they can literally take health levels of damage, and for each level they take, they can gain a dot of quintessence by basically pulling it right out of their physical life force, which is something that can be pretty handy in dire circumstances. But you are causing damage to yourself, and that damage will have to be healed naturally. I don't think you can heal it magically. Yep. Such damage can only be healed by time and bed rest, not magic. Then there's Watch the Weaving, which is basically says when any magical effect is attempted in the vicinity of a disciple of prime, he may roll perception awareness to detect the weaving of the etheric threads. Once the mage has noticed the subtle tint of magic, or if the mage is naturally suspicious, he can use this effect to see or sense the magical weavings. So, perception awareness with level 1 prime, if you have level 1 prime, can let you pick up on these things. It's nice to have. Prime is also one of the few, if not the only sphere that has more than just 2 effects kicking around. Okay. Level 2 prime. Weave Idyllic Force, which is another name for prime energy. fuel pattern, enchant patterns, summon prime weapon, activate quintessential matter and forces. Whew boy, there's a lot to unpack here. Now, by reaching out and touching prime energy metaphysically, the mage can create tiny diversions in the energy that fuels the tapestry. The tapestry. Sorry. She can twist the power of quintessence, storing it in an object or turning it to use in specific cases. She can also use this power to cast other magic into stronger forms. The patterns of physical matter and forces may be enchanted, creating magic swords that may damage spirits, or etherically charged lasers to burn vampires. Moreover, odilic force itself may be spun into a blow that hammers at patterns, allowing a mage to launch bolts of pure quintessential energy or to form a glowing weapon of mystical power. Base matter and energy that are already infused with quintessence, the inert but magical forms of tasks, may also be activated, structuring its essence so as to compose potions or temporary charms. Whenever the mage creates a pattern from nothing, she uses this power of prime, which is level 2. So you need, thus, all effects that create matter, forces, or life out of nothingness rely on the mage also using prime 2, as the book says. So you're going to need a certain level of prime to be able to create matter, forces, or energy out of, or life out of nothing, because you're basically using the prime energy to create it. It's not technically coming from nothing. There's no actual physical matter or energy or life. You're creating that out of prime energy. Whew. Yeah, there's a fair bit there. Now, this particular one lets you fuel patterns, which is what creating something from nothing is. Enchant patterns, that is the patterns of physical matter or forces, which is also activating quintessential matter and forces. That's when you find stuff that is already infused. You can then use level 2 to basically power that up, and I'll let you make use of it. Summon prime weapons, hurling bolts of quintessence, as they said, creating a glow around your hands to beat your enemies with, creating a glow around your weapon to make it primed, or literally conjuring a weapon out of prime energy. You can do these things. They're pretty cool. So what do we got over here? Body of Light is Body of Light, level 2. This is the one that you control the ether to weave what is known as a body of light. Purely etheric construct that typically takes the form of a person's idealized self, but may take any form the mage devises. There's no mental or emotional content to such a creation. It's simply a useful shell typically used to house the astral form of a mage using mind to travel. Without one, the psyche is essentially naked for its journey. So, Prime 2, you can create a body to put your mind in when you go astral traveling for protection, which is nice to do. The body of light is more than just a work of vanity. It serves as armor as well as a physical form for travel within the middle and lower realms of the Umbra. Astral travelers who wish to perform shapeshifting or other feats in places where they do not have a spiritual body, like the dream realms, must also have a body of light. So that's kind of handy. Another one is enchant weapon, which is basically what it sounds. You're enchanting your weapon to do aggravated damage because it's pulsing with prime energy. And then you've got Holy Stroke, which is a level 2 effect. When a material object is not handy for brief enchantments, or when a mage simply needs to get the job done with a demonstration of pure, non-conjunctional power, you basically fire coruscating energy at the opponent, or creates an ephemeral, glowing weapon of prime energy. Such construct requires quintessential fuel, typically 1 point per use, but it inflicts aggravated damage using the mage's prime skills. Depending on the attack, the mage might fire it off as a bolt, simply slash with a glowing sword of holy energy. Such attacks are particularly effective against supernatural opponents. On the downside, the mage must score enough successes to not only inflict damage, but to maintain the effect and to affect the target's desired. So it can be pretty potent in the right circumstances. Now, level 3. Channel quintessence, sublimate quintessential matter and forces, activate quintessential life, and enchant life. So normally, mage can't pull quintessence directly from the Tellurian itself. Although the flow is immense and constant, it is also tied into the shape of the tapestry. However, in some special places, nodes, and in special times, which are called junctures, excess quintessence bubbles up through the tapestry, there to be taken by a mage with command of prime. Even though the mage cannot steal the quintessence directly from the pattern, he can take advantage of the rare opportunities when quintessence arises unconnected to any pattern. So he can just pull that in. Let's see. At this level, tasks may be sublimated and forged into permanent artifacts and talismans. So, with level 2, it's mentioned, where is it? Here. They had something here. I remember reading it in, I was looking in level 1. No wonder I wasn't finding it. Level 2. Yes. Potions and temporary charms. So you can create potions and temporary charms with level 2 prime. Level 3 you need to create permanent, where is it? To create, yes, permanent artifacts and talismans. As you forged it into charms in the previous level, the living task may now be activated. Oh, and living task may now be activated, so as to become a living charm. Chimerical and ephemeric tasks, such as the substance of dreams and the ectoplasm of ghosts, follows the same rule as physical matter. Sentient chimera and living ephemera are treated the same as living beings, while inert dream stuff and ectoplasm follows a rule of tasks created of base matter and energy. So you can create permanent artifacts and talismans. Charms only last for so long. They've got a shelf life, as do potions. Artifacts and talismans tend to be a little bit more permanent, have a charge and they'll stick around, and they'll be good and solid for a while. As he enchanted swords and flames before, the mage of this level now gains the ability to enchant living beings, such that hands and claws can now inflict damage directly upon the patterns, which is pretty cool. Sublimate quintessential matter and forces. Now, this is something fun, because sublimating quintessential matter and forces, you can take any matter or forces that is quintessential, that has that energy in it, which is commonly known as task, and you can literally cause it to sublimate, as they say. You can turn it directly into quintessence that you absorb into yourself. So you can literally break it down and store that quintessence in you instead, which is nice. Now we've got Bond of Blood, transferring quintessence between patterns. The mage can take quintessence from a task or node if offered freely. The mage can even accept quintessence from another individual or gift a person with his own. The effect gets its name from the Brevena, who use blood as a conduit for quintessence. The Brevena in question smears an object with their blood or shares blood with a person. Fairly straightforward. Level 3, Enchant Life. Again, the same as Enchant Weapon, only with life. You enchant a living pattern with prime energy to give it greater solidity, alter it in reality. This effect makes a creature seem more real, often provides a sudden flush of energy or emotion. Furthermore, the living being can inflict aggravated damage with its own natural weapons. Akashic brothers, thus affected, can store incredible damage with their bare hands. Pretty nice. And then Lambs to the Slaughter. Sacrifice is highly controversial magical procedure, painted black in the eyes of many most of society. Sacrifice, however, is used and approved, even praised by all traditions in one form or another. The most common and most holy form is self-sacrifice, as done with heart's blood, which was the last level 2. Heart's blood may be combined with a living bond. See consecration, to sacrifice one's own life energy to power another's magic. So that's got a long thing. I'm not going to read all that. But that's basically, it's like heart's blood. It's where you're getting quintessence from yourself. But Lambs of the Slaughter is you're sacrificing your own health to power another person's magic, not your own. So that can be useful, again, if you trust the person. What else do we got? Let's jump back here and take a look at level 4. Oh, there's a lot in level 4. Alright, let's jump into it. Level 4. Expel base energy from matter and forces. Sublimate quintessential life. Permanently enchant matter and forces. Suffuse matter and forces. Create soul gem. And tap wellspring. As disciples of Prime learn to divert and ripple the flow of ether through the patterns of existence, adepts discover how to return the quintessence to the Tellurian, at least from settled and unconnected patterns, such as matter and forces. Expel base energy. Doing so has the direct and deadly effect of erasing them from mental, physical, and spiritual existence. This energy returns immediately to the tapestry as the object vanishes forever. But with proper use of other prime magic, the mage can sometimes divert a small measure of the release power into his other effects. Adepts also learn how to sublimate the quintessential patterns of living tasks so as to create artifacts and talismans, as well as those non-living wonders meant to be grafted to living creatures, such as cybernetic arms or jeweled slippers that never come off until the wearer is dead. I don't think I'd like those slippers. The mage also learns how to take the non-living patterns of existence which are not suffused with free quintessence and infuse them. So, you can not only create living talismans by sublimating quintessential life, you can permanently enchant matter and forces, permanently, and stick quintessence in matter and forces that don't already have it there. The mage also learns, and infuse them with energy, creating tasks, or sublimating that task into a periapt, resonating with the power of his own avatar. Such a periapt is called a soul gem, hence where create soul gem comes from. At places with strong resonance, the adepts of Prime also possess the wondrous ability to reach into the deep earth and tap a wellspring of free quintessence. This act is the metaphysical equivalent of opening a fire hydrant on a hot day. It will soon be shut off, but is very refreshing while it lasts. Doing so may also recharge the quintessence of periapts in a controlled effect. In conjunction with other spheres, the mage can enchant objects with selective qualities, enhance magical powers, place them into items permanently, or disperse all manner of patterns back into the ether. So that is kind of cool. They do quite some interesting things at high levels of Prime. And I'm not completely 100% familiar with a lot of the higher levels. Level 4 effect, create talismans and artifacts. Although it's possible to create some forms of minor magical artifacts with lesser Prime power, most potent objects require at least an adept's knowledge of Prime. The mage essentially consecrates Prime energy and reweaves it into the desired effects, using other spheres known or guided by special grimoires or mentors, imbuing the object with a magical pattern in addition to its own natural qualities. The item gains certain powers, perhaps even taking on an element of the mage's resonance and personality. Flames of Purification is also 4. Boop, boop, boop. By fanning your focus over a chosen object, can evoke this effect and cause an object to burst into mystical flames. The fire sheds no heat, yet quickly devours a target. The mage releases the object's quintessence back into the ephemera of the tapestry, the item suffers aggravated damage and its pattern evaporates into nothingness if it's destroyed completely. Okay, so flame purification is basically that expelling base energy. And then wellspring is 4, finding a place of strong resonance that matches your power, can reaffirm replacing the tapestry, and opens up to the power and draws a bunch of quintessence. Boom, done. Simple and to the point for some of these. There's a lot in Prime that can be done, especially at the higher levels. And you need level 4 to permanently enchant any matter or forces that you want. One of the neat things you can do with that for permanently enchanting matter and forces, take, for example, imagine if you had an electrified fence surrounding a compound. You could permanently enchant the electricity going around that fence so that that electricity not only does normal damage, but it does ag damage because it is enchanted. You can do permanently enchant matter to have all kinds of neat things going with it, boosting its abilities, its solidity, making it extra defensive if you wanted. There's some neat things you can do. Level 5. Okay. Oh, Prime. Prime. Expel base energy from life. Alter quintessential flow. Nullify paradox. Yeah, you heard that right. Permanently enchant life. Suffuse life. Create soul flower. Create node. And fountains of paradise. Whew. Masters of Prime can blast living beings out of existence, shutting off the flow of quintessence to their patterns like cutting off light to an image on a screen. The Celestial Chorus calls this act erasing a name from the Book of Life. Fortunately, doing so does not affect the Book of History or the Book of Destiny, although Masters of Time and Entropy can do both these deeds. More kindly, Masters of Prime may also increase the flow of Prime to a being, refreshing the quintessence of avatars instantly. Masters of Chorus in particular learn how to atone for their sins against reality, channeling quintessence to nullify paradox as part of penance. So you can actually use Prime to get rid of any paradox you have. I think this works against permanent paradox, though you may have to end up spending a little more for that. Enchant living beings or spirits permanently. Grant them blessings, as do the Fae and the spirits of the Umbra. Living things may also be suffused with quintessence to create living tasks, and the Master may also suffuse a living thing with quintessence of his own avatar to create a soul flower, a living periact, though it needn't be an actual flower. So kind of like a soul gem, only you're doing with something alive. The Masters may now reach into the earth and tap a wellspring of free quintessence anywhere, not just at spots with strong resonance, creating pure, uncolored magic in an effect the Alibatin call the Fountains of Paradise. Even more wondrous, where resonance is strong, Masters of Prime can harness the power of the ley lines and Dragon Paths to create a new node, or consecrate a certain cycle of the seasons as a juncture, though these are mighty rituals that are not lightly attempted. Interesting. So with this, expelling base energy from life is where you completely strip away all quintessence from a living pattern and cause it all to go back to the tapestry, which destroys the living thing utterly. Alter quintessential flow can move things around, cause it to flow in different directions. Basically the same as manipulating forces, only it's quintessential energy. Nullify paradox, pretty much self-explanatory there. Just getting rid of paradox that you've attained. As I said, I think you can do it with permanent paradox, though it would be, you'd need a lot more successes than just temp paradox. permanently enchant life, and suffuse life lets you do the enchanting on it permanently, and just stuffing quintessence into a living thing, creating soul flower and creating nodes in the fountains of paradise. So what do they have here? Fount of Paradise, we already know what that is. Paradox Ward, although only archmages of Prime would know for sure, mages surmise that the nature of Paradox runs counter to the smoothing effects of Prime. This effect draws upon that theory, negating the worst results of Paradox with a charge of quintessence. Okay, so you basically can build a ward against Paradox with level 5 Prime. You can put it up around you, and whenever Paradox comes in at you, then it is, how does this say? The mage invests some symbol of his workings with quintessence, showing that he puts utmost effort and care into his magic. Then, instead of rebounding or twisting in unusual and unexpected ways, the magic takes form exactly as desired, powered by the quintessence. Each point of quintessence channeled with such a rote up to the second successes scored nullifies 1 point of paradox. With a little duration, the mage can set up this effect in advance right before casting a more powerful effect. Okay, that's kind of cool. I'd never read that particular spell in this book, mostly because all my characters never tend to last that long to get level 5 Prime. They tend to die messily. Master's Enchantment. The catch-all describes the greatest enchantments known to Masters of Prime, the enchantment of a living being, place, or time with the power of Prime. Enchanting a living creature enables the mage to create a relic, a magical being or blessing on a person. Enchanting an area, often by bending ley lines or channeling natural energies, creates a node. By concentrating a specific time with adherence to rituals and patterns, the mage can create junctures where regular surges of quintessence spring forth. Naturally, such superlative enchantments represent the pinnacle of the master's craft. Few mages ever attempt such vulgar feats anymore. Alright. Very cool. So that's Master's Enchantment for Prime. It is one of the more ethereal, but also one of the more almost straightforward, in a way, spheres. There tends to be a lot of tiny little details that can complicate matters in Prime. But for the most part, pretty much what you see is what you get. It allows for a lot of the bigger workings of magic out there. So that's going to be it for this episode of Character Class. I hope I'm helping some of you out there with my little talks, my little closer looks at these spheres. Thank you all so much for watching. As always, if you like what I'm doing, please give that like button a tap. Give that subscribe button a tap as well if you haven't already, so you can be kept apprised of when I do new videos. And throw a comment in the comment section. Let me know what you think of my particular talk here on Prime. What do you do with Prime? With all the fun little things? What are some of your neatest moments with Prime magic in a game? One of my particular players, not me, but one of the players in a mage game I was running, ended up doing some fun with Prime by simply priming up his fists and just going in and just beating on some guy. It was pretty cool. So do all that, and until next time, you all take care, keep playing games, and I'll see you next time for a closer look at Spirit. I know one of you out there is looking forward to it. It's coming soon. See you next time.